Okay, so last character died. So what I've done is I've gone ahead and I brought another character up to about where the last one was, and I'm going to try to continue on. Differences: this character is quite a bit different than the last one. He's actually an elf. Big surprise. He's also a spellcaster. His starting class was Wizard, who starts off with a whole bunch of ranks in the spellcraft skill, as well as a bit of conjurations, a bit of one element, and a bit of translocation. And you can see a skill distribution here. As you can see, spellcasting is the most important one, as I've ranked it up more than any other. Conjurations has been off this whole time, but it's still managed to get up to 19. Conjurations are blasty attack type spells. I have quite a few other schools, but they've all been off for quite some time. But nevertheless, I've managed to get up some decent ranks. I also have ranks in fighting, armor, dodging, shields. This is because you are really fragile as a wizard, so it's important to be able to train these up as well, as much as you can. I've been pretty satisfied so far. Our defenses are actually quite formidable: 34 AC, 29 evasion, and 20 shields. This is also the newest edition, 0.6.1. So things work a bit differently here. For one, heavy armor, unlike being very useful in the old version, is not very useful at all in this version. So we're not going with that. We've also managed. It also allows you to drain armor and dodging at the same time. Before, usually you can only drain one of the two. In most cases. If you remember with the dwarf, we actually it wasn't until very late in the game that we actually started training dodging. And we, unlike the dwarf, we also don't have much strength. Only 8, which is the usually considered the minimum for safety reasons, because you can take ability damage, and if it gets reduced to 0, you die. We have a 38 intelligence. High elf gives you a whole lot of intelligent boosts every 3 levels. If you recall, the dwarf got +1 strength every 4 levels. Well, the high elf, rather than getting that, they get +1 intelligence or dexterity every 3 levels, in addition to the ability you get to choose. So we're now up to 38 intelligence, which is quite a lot, and helps with spellcasting much more than strength does with fighting. We have 128 hit points, which is about half as what the dwarf had at this level, and 42 magic, which is a lot more than what the dwarf had ever. We're only level 24 despite having done quite a bit of the game. This is because high elves level up much more slowly than other characters. I think only they're a bit slower than, or considerably slower than a dwarf would be. Much more slower than other races like humans or kobolds. And I think the only one that levels up more slowly would be a demigod. Though actually I think they have the same rate. I'm not sure. But you can also check their aptitudes and see that they're much more spellcasting focused. Though their fighting, armor, shields, dodging skills are actually not too bad, so we can actually train them reasonably easily. And we can go ahead and check our inventory. We've got quite a few good things. I found this hammer fairly early on, which gives us quite a few protections. We don't really use it for the sake of being able to hit things, but rather just because it enhances our protection quite a bit. I've got a set of swamp dragon armor. Protects you from poison, which isn't all that useful, but it has an armor rating of 7 and an evasion modifier of only -2. I think it's probably the best or most efficient armor in the game. Most regular armors would have a much lower armor rating for that evasion modifier. A ringmail has an evasion modifier of -2 and only has an armor rating of 4. Dragon armors are generally superior for that reason. But there are lighter dragon armors, but I think having a 7 armor modifier for only -2 evasion is a pretty good deal, so I decided to go with that over the lighter ones. I've got a buckler, also with resist poison. It's giving us a pretty good shield rating. Our shield rating is up to 20, which seems to be higher than what the dwarf had, but shield ratings are reported differently in this version than the old one, so we're actually not nearly as good with shields as the dwarf was, despite what that number may say. We have a +3 cap, which gives us, it's an artifact, it's giving us +4 evasion. Got a +2 cloak of resist poison, regular pair of gloves, regular pair of elf boots, which enhance our stealth a bit. An amulet, it has resist corrosion, resist negative energy, +2 AC, +4 evasion. We've got a ring of resist fire, giving us +2 AC and +3 intelligence, and a ring giving us +3 AC, +4 intelligence, +5 accuracy, and +6 base damage. So that's our character so far, and we can check the dungeon overview. As you can see, I've finished the dungeon like before. Done temple, orc, 6 levels of elf. I've done the lair. I've done the swamp. I've done something called the shoals, which is a similar to, well, it's not really similar. It's replacing the snake in this particular game. There's no snake pits in this game. Instead, there's the shoals. The shoals randomly replaces either the swamp or the snake pits, or it might not appear at all and just leave it how it is. But it's full of merfolk and lots of water-based creatures. It's pretty irritating, actually. It also has tides, which is kind of annoying. Water level tends to rise in lore. I think I like snake better than shoals, though it also gives you a rune, so we have 3 like before. I haven't done slime yet. I finished hive, the vault, and I got the rune, and I did blade, the hall of blades. So we're about where we were before. I haven't done Zot yet, though, and I think I'm going to skip it for now. The reason for that is, the reason why I skipped it last time is because I wanted, or the reason why I did it last time is because I wanted to do everything aside from slime, crypt, and all of the other planes, the hells, the abyss, and so on. The reason for that is because I wanted to do crypt and get a whole bunch of ranks, get a whole bunch of piety with the Shining One very quickly by doing that. But in this version, or with this character rather, we're not going to switch to the Shining One. We're going to stick with Sif Muna, who is the, I think, most common spellcasting god. She's quite useful. She gives you an ability to exchange a bit of food for, or a bit of hunger rather, for instantly getting back some energy. She lets you freely open your mind to new spells, which is not that useful since there's a spell that does the same thing and can also be used on itself. And she protects you from miscast magic, which is handy. So, that's that overview of the character so far. It's a very different character from the last one. A lot of this is necessitated by changes in the newest edition, or the newest version. So the old style of putting on heavy armor and whacking things with a heavy weapon doesn't really work anymore, unfortunately. It may change in version 0.7 that's coming out, I have no idea when, but this is what the game is like now, and this is the character we're going to use from this point forward. And we're doing fairly well so far. Our spell selection looks something like this. Most of you probably recognize most of these spells. Our primary attack spell right now is Poison Arrow, which is a very handy spell that can poison even poison-resistant monsters. The only things it can't poison are non-living monsters like golems and stuff, as well as the undead. But even to them, that does quite a fair amount of damage. So I've been using that on most enemies. It can kill just about anything in 1 or 2 hits, or any living creature in 1 or 2 hits. Mystic Blast there is also quite handy. We also have quite a few. We actually don't have that many escape spells. We only have Blink so far. Swiftness is also handy to have. It increases your movement speed a bit. I haven't picked up Haste yet. I really should have it by now, but I haven't really been training enchantments, so our success rate on it isn't that great. I have Repel Missiles, and I've also found a book of Deflect Missiles, which is always handy. We have quite a lot of books, actually. If we go down here to our stash, you can see we have a whole bunch of spell books, and this is because Sif Moon has been gifting a whole bunch. All these ones down here, you can see the green ones there with God Give next to them have been given to us by Sif Moona. So we have access to pretty much any spell we want. And we're otherwise doing quite well so far. So this is the character I'm going to be continuing on from right now. I guess I'll be doing that in the next video. See you then.